From your stories, it's clear that the way we feel about living alone can be a little complicated.
The first couple months, it was actually kind of hard for me to live alone because I was so used to always living with people.
You know, everyone always said how important it was and how it'll be a great time in my life, but I just haven't figured out why that is just yet.
Living alone near Boulder is really expensive, but it is worth every penny.
Living by yourself does mean no one to split your bills with, but it isn't something that only rich people are doing. In 2014, people who lived alone had a median income of less than $28,000. When Ashley Ward moved back to LA, she decided that living alone was worth the investment. She was 30, and this was the first time she'd ever lived by herself. When we first spoke, she'd just moved in a few weeks before, and Ashley told me having her own place felt weird.
You know, whenever you're little and you're wearing your mom's shoes, like, it felt like that. Like, you don't fill out the shoe or the apartment at all, but like here you are pretending like you do.
Clomping around in shoes that are too big for you.
Exactly. And it feels a little bit better now. I mean, I think that I'll feel a lot better once I get a couch.
You wrote in a line that really stuck out to me was you said, no one thinks it's normal for a 30-year-old professional woman to be able to live alone.
Yeah, that's been the most bizarre thing.
What do you mean?
There's just a weird sort of, whoa, really? Instead of like a, yeah, cool.
Is that because that means that you have a certain amount of money?
I think so. It is very expensive to live in LA. It says how much you make without saying how much you make. And I think that that's definitely something that makes people feel inadequate, I guess.
How has it changed? You're single?
Yes.
Has it changed your dating life living alone? Like, one of the drawbacks of having roommates is your dating life is on display to other people in your apartment. That's not the case when you live alone.
No, I can sort of come and go and bring whomever I like, which is, I mean, I've only been there for a month, so it hasn't happened, but...
Do you like that idea?
Yeah, I like that I can have guests and I don't have to worry that someone else will come in and like sort of take charge of the conversation and sort of take charge of my guest. The guy that I lived with in Chicago would do that all of the time, where if I had someone over, he would just sort of come in and like make the conversation all about him and his life.
Like including dates?
Yeah. It was super awkward. It was really, really awkward.
That helped Ashley make the decision to live alone. And a year later, Ashley reports that she's no longer single, and
my apartment no longer feels like an empty place that I'm trying to pretend I'm grown up enough to have. I got a couch in May, so it's a place that I like spending time now.
But for a lot of you, living alone wasn't a choice. It's a consequence of a bigger change, often a loss, like a death or the end of a relationship.
My name is Waleed Shantour, and I live alone.
Waleed is 60 and has lived alone for the last 8 years. A year ago, he sent in this message from Ithaca, New York.
I left home when I was 17 and joined the Navy and lived with 350 men on a ship for 4 years. And then I got married, and I was married for a little over 20 years. And after my wife came out to me, I was quite devastated because my daughter left for college the same day that my wife moved out of the house. So all of a sudden, after all those years, I was alone. I would have to say that I was in a funk for a good part of 6 months to a year. Then I started realizing how satisfying it was living alone. I told one friend that was considering becoming single that I personally found it intoxicating being by myself. Would have never thought that the case after all the years of being with someone and being happy with being with people. I just found out that I was quite happy to be myself.
But in the last year, something changed.
One day I met a woman that came from Europe to attend a seminar at Cornell. And we noticed early on that we had quite a bit of chemistry. So we spend a lot of time together, going out to dinner, cooking, going to movies, hiking to local trails, and yada, yada, yada. She's back in Europe now, and I can no longer say that living alone is pleasing and satisfying. In fact, I told one friend that while she was here, I was alive again.
A year ago, Glenn Eulig was also getting used to life after a marriage. He and his wife separated 3 years ago. He lives by himself part of the time in Elko, Nevada.
So this house is quiet, cricket quiet, for 7 days, and then bam, a 6 and 8-year-old boy back in my life. School, homework, cooking, laundry, folding, cleaning, eating, brushing teeth.
Glenn splits custody of his boys with their mom. 1 week with her, 1 week with him.
Monday at school, when I drop them off, and I'm driving away from school, I guarantee you there's this great big sigh of, whew, it's like I survived. I really feel like I survived. There's no emergency visits. They went to school. They're safe.